This is CityCast Twin Cities. I'm Sean McPherson, and here's what the cities are talking about. Paviel, what is the song that the most people know the words to?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Scaramouche, Scaramouche, she will do the fandango.
Yes.
That is legendary vocalist, songwriter, and CityCast contributor Paviel French. We're going to run down a couple events happening in the Twin Cities for this week of Christmas, and we'll be chatting with celebrated comedian and activist Lizz Winstead, who's getting ready for her year in review shows at the Parkway this week and next. Paviel, Christmas is coming up. There is a little bit of a slowdown for events, but there's still a lot of stuff to offer, including an artist who's in town today, both for a signing and a show at the Dakota. Let me know about Alicia Witt.
Yes, Alicia Witt is in town. She'll be performing and signing autographs at the Electric Fetus, one of my favorite stores, at 12:30 p.m. And then she's performing at the Dakota later this evening. It's going to be really, really dope.
Yeah, and she's bringing some of that holiday flavor, and of course, a lot of that is happening in these couple days before Christmas, including Dan Chenard, a celebrated piano player, vocalist, and more kind of like a musical fixer, somebody you always see supporting other people. He does a holiday sing-along at Crooners in the Dunsmore Room, and literally, Paviel, they say, like, the performer is you. You have to sing if you come to this show. And he pulls out those Christmas tunes and folks start singing. And frankly, like, I'm worried that our generations and our children's generations are not going to have the same shared songs because we can all chart our own paths. But the Christmas songbook is pretty well known. So if you feel like belting something out, check out Dan Chenard tomorrow at Crooners.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. They probably can't get past Jingle Bells.
Let's take a look at Christmas Eve. Something happened a little bit earlier in the day on Christmas Eve.
Yes, it's called the Hella Dazzle Christmas Eve Brunch with Joel Shapiro and friends at Hell's Kitchen. It's classical jazz guitarist Joel Shapiro will be performing. And it's a Hella Dazzle brunch, which is hilarious because I read that like 3 times. I was like, Hella Dazzle. Okay.
I think they're taking shots at the absence of Holidazzle, and they're saying, listen, we're going to at least try to get some stuff going downtown.
Yes, but I think Hella Dazzle, I think something completely different. So it's at 10 a.m. And it'll be through 1 p.m. If you got work off, you should go and check it out because it's going to be really awesome.
I got to give a shout out to Joel Shapiro. We get coffee at the same spot, JS, on Randolph by my house. And the man is just such a jazz enthusiast. We talked a lot when I was working at Jazz 88, but he can really play guitar. And I've actually never seen him do nylon strings. So it's really cool that he's going to be doing some classical stuff as well. Paviel, I'd like to introduce some violence into my Christmas night. Do you have any advice for me?
Yes, and also with the Hella Dazzle, we have Violent Night at Trilon Cinema. It's just going to be great, right? So listen, are you a Christmas Day at the movie theater kind of person? You can catch a showing of Violent Night at Trilon Cinema. When mercenaries take a wealthy and dysfunctional family hostage on Christmas Eve, they don't count on a disgruntled Santa Claus proficient with automatic weapons and hand-to-hand combat. The screenwriters Josh Miller and Pat Casey will introduce the film. And they're Bloomington natives. So this is from Minnesota. This is some hometown talent. And we're going to go see Santa cut some people up.
Paviel, I'm just letting you know that I don't want AI in my life, but if I could build an AI that had the bad news be read in your voice, that would help me because there's this way in which you're like, your house is being foreclosed on and it's going to be a lot of fun and you're going to have to move out. You're going to be moving back in with your parents in Florida. It's going to be pretty rough for you. And it's just, you still have a gentle lilt to what you're saying. So I'm like, it can't be that bad. Okay.
You'll no longer have any privacy, but you will have family moments.
Boxing Day, the first day of Kwanzaa, those are all things that are happening on December 26th. And we got some hockey stuff and we have some Kwanzaa stuff. I want to kick things off talking about a show that evening, actually, at the 7th Street Entry. There's a producer who was raised here, but now is working out in Los Angeles named Shrimp Nose. What a weird name. What a good producer. Like it's the first time I got a press release from this dude, I was like, are you serious? Shrimp Nose? And then I listened to the music. I was like, this is good. But Blood Smoke Bodies on the bill. One of my favorite hip hop groups out of this town. Talia Knight is also on the bill. Very talented, very spectacular. And we don't get as many nights to have local artists on 7th Street Entry anymore because there's so many people who tour 50 weeks a year. But between Christmas and New Year's, time for the locals to shine. And Shrimp Nose, Blood Smoke Body, and Talia Knight should be putting on quite the show on Boxing Day. Paviel, hockey. Talk to me about some hockey stuff.
All right. So we have the Bold North Breakaway. Okay. Listen, when have I been to a hockey game? I should do it once in my life. Rice Park in St. Paul River Center is going to have this World Junior Ice Hockey Championship going on. Okay. So it's a big deal for ice hockey fans. Bold North Breakaway is the fan festival, and it kicks off Friday from 10:30 to 5:30. There's a lot to do. This might be the most energized downtown St. Paul has been in a long time, y'all. At Rice Park, visitors can ride bumper cars on ice. Super fun. I want to do that. Have some hot cocoa and enjoy the holiday lights. Or you can go indoors at the River Center and shop at vendors and watch the game. So it's going to be tight.
And this is like a internationally popular event, this World Junior Ice Hockey Championship. We're the state of hockey, and this is a big deal. Let's also head over to Minneapolis for the first day of Kwanzaa. And this is actually an event that's available for every day of Kwanzaa. Can you tell me about this, Pavio?
Yes. So this event will be at the Midtown Global Market, and it's going to be Thursday, December 26th through Tuesday, December 31st. It'll be every day at 11 a.m. to 2. It is free, and each of the 7 days will celebrate its corresponding principles. So, with Kwanzaa, there's 7 principles in the Nguzo Saba. And so each day you light a candle and you talk about the principle and you celebrate that with food and culture and music and all that good stuff. So like I just said, there will be storytelling, a daily call of drums, youth-led activities, performances, a fashion show, art showcases, food, music, gift giving, honoring our elders, and more. And plus, the global market has so many wonderful local vendors, of all types of things. Even you can get food, you can get soaps, body butters, like all kinds of stuff. So it's really, really awesome and good for family.
Not like there's a bad year for Pan-African unity, but this has got to be a prime time to try to create unity across African nations, with Black Americans as well, at this time where there's a lot of things working to divide those communities. I'm so glad to remember that Kwanzaa is really about Pan-African spirit.
That's right. And resourcing each other and being the tribes that we were meant to be. Ashe. Yeah.
Soul line dancing. Okay.
Hey.
Help me out. What's going on with soul line dancing?
So there's some soul line dancing going on early in the morning, too. They're going to be cutting a rug at 10:30, y'all. So get up and go. It's going to be at Sabathani Community Center, and it is held by and hosted by the Line Dance Man, Harris Parks, for a soul line dance class. So it's going to be really cool. If you don't know what line dancing is, it's like many things. It's usually certain dances, like the Cupid Shuffle is a line dance. What's the thing I always do? The electric slide. All the weddings, that's a line dance. All that. So the wobble. That's my favorite. Wobble. That's it. That's all right. I'm gonna start.
I can't do the Cupid Shuffle. I can electric slide, and I don't know what the hell you're talking about with the wobble.
With the wobble, you don't know the wobble? Oh, we got to get you connected with the wobble and get you caught up, because there's tons, but you got to do the wobble.
Can you tell me about this Close to the Tassel event that's happening on Saturday night?
Sure. So Close to the Tassel is a progressive rock burlesque review, and it'll be at Amsterdam Bar and Hall. So you should expect cosmic costuming, elaborate story-driven striptease, and tributes to iconic bands like Yes, King Crimson, Rush, Genesis, and more. Now that band Rush, there's a cartoon that I heard years ago, and this man was like, Rush is hard rock. And this guy was like, well, explain hard rocking. He was like, hard rocking. And forever in a day, that's what I think about with Rush. Hard rocking.
Rush is great. These are like some of the least erotic bands I can think of on a list. I'm very curious to see how they work in a burlesque setting, because like I've never been like, hey girl, we're gonna throw on some King Crimson and see what happens.
Exactly.
But on Saturday night, they're going to throw on some King Crimson and see what happens.
And some bass-led rock music, okay?
Geddy Lee, get it. All right, let's find out about a brunch that's happening on Sunday to round out this event setup.
It's another thing along the lines of Hella Dazzle and the Violent Night at Trilon. So this is K-pop Demon Hunters Drag Brunch, y'all. This is going to be at Quincy Hall. If you can't get enough of K-pop Demon Hunters, you can attend a drag brunch performance at Quincy Hall, and you can see it right in front of your eyes and enjoy every bit of it. Demon Hunters. I'm telling you, this Christmas is something else, ain't it?
Pavio, I can get enough of K-pop Demon Hunters because I have children. Are you aware of the phenomenon that is K-pop Demon Hunters?
Not them particularly, but I've seen the mad rise of the boy bands and all of the real 2002 era coming out of Korea and K-pop right now, because it feels like that. It feels very 2002 to 2005. It gives me that feel. Mm-hmm.
K-pop is on the rise, but this Demon Hunters thing was kind of a sleeper hit that Netflix put together, and now they're just minting money. People want everything K-pop. My kids are wildly into it. Some of the music is really, really good, and I would love to see this done up for a drag brunch. So K-pop Demon Hunters, for those of you who don't have to listen to this 3 hours a day at your home, you can get a little more on Sunday. Pavio, I think this is the last time I chat with you this year. It has been so much fun doing these event rundowns and so much fun just having you being a part of CityCast Twin Cities. I am raising my glass of room temperature water and cheersing to you for a great 2026 here on CityCast with you.
Thanks, Sean. You too, man. This has been great.
We'd love to hear from you. What events are you looking forward to before the end of the year? Send us a text or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast Twin Cities hotline, 612-217-0637. Up next, we'll be chatting with comedy legend Lizz Winstead. Before that, we're going to take a quick break. Minnesota will hold on to a local celebrity by the tiniest of threads. You could have like a long layover at MSP and we'd be like, I think they're kind of from Minnesota, you know, that they went to the Chick-fil-A. But Lizz Winstead is truly connected to the Twin Cities. Not only did she get her start here doing comedy in the 1980s, she went on to this huge, illustrious career, internationally acclaimed. She launched The Daily Show on Comedy Central, and she truly is still a part of the fabric of Minnesota, largely because of the show that she's doing at the Parkway Theater that we're about to talk to, but also like the lady's got Minnesota credentials. In fact, we just hung out with her on Lake Harriet in a shiny snowsuit with her dog, which is very Minnesotan. And I should mention that the biggest bold headline for my fandom of Lizz Winstead is not starting The Daily Show. It's 10 years of leading Abortion Access Front. That should be the big, bold thing because it is such an amazing thing you've done, Liz. Right below that, though, you do this year in review every year in the Twin Cities. I saw it years ago at the Cedar. I laughed my ass off. I had no ass on New Year's Eve because of seeing your show. And this year it's at the Parkway on December 27th and on New Year's Eve. Lizz Winstead, welcome to CityCast.
Thank you. You know, you did leave out one thing. My crown jewel is that my dog has a matching snowsuit.
Yes. Mr. Funk was very dapper on Lake Harriet.
Yeah, you know, because if you're going to be here, you're going to outfit your dog to be out as long as you would like to be as well in the elements.
You do say a lot of really courageous things, particularly in this year in review, because you take a lot of news and you turn it into conclusions and patterns. The news is easy to grab. It's everywhere. What we have a shortage of is folks who can digest it and can conclude things from it and poke some fun at it. How do you take a news story and turn it into a conclusion?
It's been interesting, Sean, because when I started these shows, you know, and I worked on The Daily Show and then I also worked on Air America, right? So when you have a finite product that's every day, you can take a piece of news and then make a joke about that piece of news. But now with social media and late night shows and so much stuff, if you're going to do a year in review, you don't want to just take a piece of news and tell a joke that's going to be probably similar to somebody else said, right? So what I like to do is I like to watch the trends of what's happening in the world. So for example, instead of just talking about how I feel that Trump is losing his ever-loving mind and destroying the country, I am watching the patterns of how every single person he surrounds himself with is part of a death cult. And so now I have the opportunity to talk about Pete Hegseth and RFK and Mike Johnson and Trump and how they make up the death cult, right? Death cult for cutie. Terrible that band. But so, you know, it's kind of like looking at the lens of all of that stuff. Also, these same people that are running the government also have like super weird sex kinks. And I don't want to kink shame anybody, but like when your kink is literally DMing people on the internet platform that you own and saying, I'll give you $1 million if you'll have my baby because we need more beautiful white people on the planet. That's creepy. I'm not sure that's a kink. That's just creepy. And also, I can't imagine, I don't know how ketamine works, but I feel like it doesn't work that well when it comes to being good in the sack. I'm just presupposing here. I've never like gotten down and dirty with somebody who is like literally microdosing ketamine 24/7, 365. If you have, let me know.
You've never lived, Liz. It is unbelievable.
I'm so judgy, provincial. You know, what are you going to do?
You are comfortable talking pretty courageously about your frustrations with Trump, which so many people share, and I completely understand that. There is something a little less comedic about this administration from Trump compared to the first one, because whether you agree with Trump's, leaders inside his organization, they are more in lockstep. There is a lot more cohesion than there was in the first Trump administration. Is that harder to joke about because it's getting more to the sense of like, they're really lining up and changing some things that a lot of us don't want changed in this country? Where do you find the humor when the folks you're poking fun at are pretty on top of their game?
I think that when you look at people who are chosen because they will not challenge what Trump wants, and they are power mad and incompetent, those are qualities that are ripe for humor because it's a gathering point for the audience, right? It's like, oh my God, you are an idiot, and now you have power. And when people think they are untouchable, I mean, Pete Hegseth is the classic example, couldn't even make it to be the Fox News weekday host. So he wasn't even good at sitting on a couch. And now he's got the largest budget in our entire government, screaming, saying our military's fat and DEI is ruining things, and we're going to cut all of the ways that we are actually befriending people across the world. And so I think when people have moral bankruptcy, and that's clear to everyone who has a sort of social compact with each other, that we want to feed the poor and we want to make sure that, the less fortunate are helped. We want to welcome the stranger, like basic tenets of humanity. When that's not part of someone's foundation, you can find humor in it.
How did growing up in Minnesota shape your identity as we understand it today? You've lived plenty of time in New York. You've spent time all over the globe. What matters about you that comes from Minnesota?
This place churns out creative people, and it churns out inclement weather that forces you to sometimes be in situations where storytelling is a really big part of how you just develop as a human. I'm the youngest of 5 kids in my family. I would say I am probably the least funny person in my family, but the one who was like, I don't have that many other skills, so I'm going to try to make this thing work. And I do think that we revere artists so much in this town. I mean, look at how the Twin Cities has grown in population and size. We've always had an orchestra. We've always had a theater community that was robust, a music scene that was robust, a comedy scene that was robust, authors, journalists. We as a community honor that and really want to celebrate that. And I feel like I was given just an opportunity to fail and to hone and to develop in ways that are very unique to here. This was one of the places also where I was coming up. I did not experience the level of sexism that I experienced outside of the Twin Cities when I was doing my work. I got to develop with a whole bunch of people, and it was just like joke by joke, I was judged. And that is so Minnesotan. All right, we're going to give you a chance every step of the way. Next one. I didn't love that. You could have done better. Let's see what you got next time. Oh, I like that one. Keep that one, So I feel like it's just, it's a warm blanket, and it's people who are just incredibly kind. And also the kind of comedy I do, like people want me to call out injustice. And like, I often say to people, do not mistake maybe the quiet or the passivity of Minnesotans for people who will not cut a bitch. Because we will.
We got more coming up with Lizz Winstead, but before that, we're going to take a quick break. Liz, let's talk about these actual shows. The shows are December 27th and New Year's Eve at the Parkway Theater.
Yep.
I want to know what you most enjoy on that actual day, from whenever you show up at the venue to when you're actually back home. What do you love the most?
I think what I love the most is when people show up, they have said, this has been a grim ass year, and I trust that you and your take is going to make me feel like I can get through this. And so to hear people laugh and to hear people connect with my theories of why we're in this place that we are at, the assessments I've made about the horrible players, how I also weave in, because I try to cover as much as I can about the year. And sometimes that may be like a ditty callback to a joke about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you're like, how did you get there? And so being able to have those kind of like callbacks and weaving it all together and having the audience just feel like, thank you, I really needed that. And that's what I hear so often after the shows. It's always like, I needed that. I honestly wasn't sure if I could laugh, and I needed it. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, yay, hooray.
I want to talk a little bit about your work with Abortion Access Front, because it's been really central to your life, and celebrating 10 years of that organization. You had a gala. You had a sold out gala in New York City. I hope somewhere like the youngest of five from Minneapolis is just like fundamentally proud about how cool it is to have a gala that involves you. My connection most recently to your work there was I was on vacation with my family in DC, and we're right by the Capitol, and I come out, and to my wife I go, that's Lizz Winstead right there. I said the F word, but I don't want to make them have to find a beeper. And Rachel was like, don't say the F word in front of our kids. I said, okay. And then I go and find you, and you're there. Like we are there doing a little more than sightseeing, because we're doing this civic thing of showing our kids how some of this stuff works. You are there protesting. A lot of people are there protesting. And it left me with this incredibly warm feeling of, okay, this woman who is really well regarded is also on the front lines and doing relatively thankless work. I didn't see any security detail around you. I didn't see any cameras. I saw you out there trying to spread the word about abortion access. It's a more uphill battle than I bet you thought it was going to be 10 years ago. How does that work inspire you, and why do you keep doing it when things go so badly so often?
I think that the reason I do it is, quite frankly, I myself have had an abortion, and I never wanted kids. Like, I have to preface that by saying, in my life, that was never been a journey that I wanted to go on. I love my nieces and nephews, great relationships, but it just wasn't for me to parent. And so knowing that having access to abortion care so that I could literally pursue the dreams that I had and was really important to me. And I got mine. And then to walk away knowing that other people, other brilliant people who might not be able to choose how they need to be and the path they want to live on, I just couldn't let that stand. And people weren't talking enough about what it means. Like everybody would be like, abortion is a wedge issue, or it's a silo, or it's a whatever. And to that, I would just say the idea of how and when you want to have a family is your first decision on all of the rest of the decisions that you get to make in your life. And then to also, I will ask people, what point would you allow the government to take control over your healthcare just out of your hands? At what point are you no longer competent and the government will make a good decision for you? And the answer to that is always, well, of course, never. And it's like, this is exactly correct. And so to remind people that what is at stake is literally devaluing the condition of being a woman or a person with a uterus to somebody who could, and they are desperately trying to be, the ward of their husband or the ward of the state. And that is simply not okay. And so for me, to raise those issues, to raise the issues and tell the stories of people who are hemorrhaging in parking lots and who are being harassed in their workplace, have their lives threatened, being followed home by by these harass holes who are out in front of clinics who are dangerous. I want people to just be able to say or see what we're doing in the way we do it and say, how do I get involved? Because we do a couple of things. We travel around the country and do comedy and music shows. And throughout the course of the shows, we also have an interview section with the abortion providers and the activists who live in those local communities. And they talk about what they need and they talk about the state of what's happening. And then people who come to our shows can sign up right there and then join in, so that if there's a city council meeting where they need support or they need lobby day in their capital, or if a clinic needs, some heating pads or whatever they need, to be able to connect them and have them be a social source of community, which doesn't exist around these clinics and didn't until we started. And then we also do these crazy public works projects for the clinics, like Habitat for Humanity. I have built entire fences. I've redone people's gardens. I've painted the whole clinic on the inside and the outside. And so it's a way to make sure that in a landscape now where there's so few clinics left, that the ones that do exist are inundated with patients coming from states where there's been bans, to make sure that they have the support they need, to make sure that we can help people if they need help with childcare because they have to work late. I say this to everybody who wants to get into activism. Pick the thing you love and be as actively involved in the lives of the people who are most affected, because it's a reminder every day of why you do it, whether that's immigration, whether that's disability rights, whether that's abortion rights, whether that's environmental rights. Like, the second you are in there and you see that real people who are doing work or just trying to get by simply need some support, you feel really whole. It's really great.
Two very divergent thoughts in my head right now, Liz. One, I bet you sleep like a baby at night because you speak truth and you fight for what you believe in this world. And I hope you are really proud of that. I hope that even folks who vehemently disagree with the grand majority of what you're saying at least can appreciate your courage in saying it. Here's my divergent thought. You need to introduce our audience to Mr. Funk because he is chilling right next to the microphone. And he's just going, because I could hear him. He's going, and
I know he wanted to jump on my lap and then he ran away. So I don't know where he went, but if he comes back while we're still on, I'll definitely let him hop up on my lap. But, the sleeping at night, on one level, I do. On the other level, there's people who want to kill me for what I do. And that's unsettling and that's real. And then also there's just so many new ways every day where something bad happens. And I can feel solid in the fact that I am in the fight. But I think what keeps me up at night is that the rules of engagement are changing moment to moment. And so I never know what to bring to the battle, right? But it's no longer a PowerPoint presentation. I can tell you that, because it's a knife fight. And I'm not trying to win a war of words with anybody. I'm just trying to say there are people whose shoes you will never walk in. And so why don't you, at the very least, back away from what they're going through and let them sort it out with their God. You don't need to worry about it.
You were frequently in the press this year, Liz, talking about recent firings or close to firings from a lot of people who you're relatively close with in the industry. I'm thinking about Jimmy Kimmel, who was fired for a matter of hours, and Stephen Colbert, who at some point is going to be packing his bags and not doing that show anymore. You might have to do less ballet in terms of what you say because you aren't corporately funded, but you did break a lot of ground in your career at Air America and Comedy Central. When you see some of your peers in the world of hosting and comedy and doing that on TV, what do you think about this moment and where you think we'll go from here?
So what I think about the moment, and I wrote about Stephen for Rolling Stone and I wrote about Jimmy for, I think Time or Newsweek. I can't remember where those dropped, but it's not surprising to me that, because when I was at The Daily Show, we were a Time Warner, Viacom, mashup enterprise. And I remember, they would say to me, you're a comedian, you're a comedy writer, you're not an activist. And I was like, I'm kind of both. And so I realized that I could only go so far being in those places. And I think the takeaway for me is late night talk shows and those guys who I love are but a fraction of the people that you don't know who have been silenced or shut down or not been able to be on the air. When I think about Bill Hicks and when I think about so many comics who have been trying to break ground and were silenced on the way up. I just want people to remember that there's so many people of color. There's so many women that you don't know. And we get mad when we feel like our beacons, like Jimmy or like Stephen. I'll never forget when Jon Stewart announced his retirement and people were out of their minds. They were out of their minds that Jon was leaving. And I did an interview on MSNBC where I said, every night, Jon Stewart gets to decide he's going to do this kind of comedy, right? He doesn't have to. He chose to. You should be mad that you're so mad that Jon's leaving, because what you should really be mad at is how horrible our media has gotten, that this comic who has the option of being a truth teller is leaving. But I think that in this time, let's really support independent media. Let's really look at, there's some great, Elizabeth Booker Houston, she's Booker Squared on TikTok and on Instagram. She was a lawyer at the FDA, and she is relentlessly funny and gives accurate information all the time. And I think that our media sources, we have to be the ones that save us. We have to be the ones that find where our humor is. We have to be the ones that when we hear information, certainly fact check it, source it. But like the way all of it's going to happen for us is through the independent lenses. And if we don't support them, then we're going to be screwed, because these corporate media entities, if this next merger goes through and whoever it is going to now own CNN and everybody else, like those aren't the places that you want to get your information anyway. And if you are on the ground and living in the world, you can't have people convince you to not trust your lying eyes, right? And so the more that you are a citizen just living in the world and observing, deciding you're going to maybe go to some ice raids or go to a soup kitchen or go to wherever you want to go, right? Where you feel like I could be here and be needed, elderly facilities, you'll see how people, not of their own choosing, have been, wronged on some level, and you'll hear their stories and you tap into your own humanity that way. So that's what I go with it. The more you participate in the world, the more you won't be fooled, and the more that you can actually be part of the solution.
Liz, there's a lot of places to go for news, but there are truly few places to go for the digestion, the interpretation, and the humorization of this difficult time that we're living through, and this frequently joyous time we're living through. And your shows at the end of the year are a beacon for so many people, myself included. The shows are on December 27th and New Year's Eve at the Parkway Theater. I've had almost 9 years of practice. I'm going to try to give you the wrap it up hand signal. Is that good?
That's good. Oh my God. Okay. You know what? This has been so great, Sean, to talk to you. And I hope to see everybody at the Parkway. I'll give you a hug if I see you. That's what I do. I walk around the audience afterwards. I'm hugging everybody. But it's fun. I promise I'll make you laugh, and I'll promise I'll make you think about things in a whole new way.
That's all for today here on CityCast Twin Cities. I'm your host, Sean McPherson. Paviel French, Liz Winstead, thanks for being here today. You can get more news delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to the CityCast Twin Cities newsletter. If you enjoyed today's show, why not share this podcast with a comedian? We'll see you back here tomorrow for more news from around the city.